One of the strengths of Rhinoceros is the creation and the manipulation of complex surfaces. Here we will show a few ways to create these surfaces, and we focus on initially on simple surfaces, but we extend it to double curved freeform shapes. So, okay, if we look at the menu, inside the surface menu, you see that there are many surfaces you can create directly, but we can also create several of the surfaces starting from curves. If we look at one of the groups here, these are already enclosed surfaces, but we also have more straightforward surfaces, like surface from 3 or 4 corner points. So we just click 4 points, and this becomes a single surface. And it's best to activate the shaded viewport. So this is a surface, and if we look at the properties of a surface, in this case it's an open surface, it doesn't enclose a volume, but it has several information. If you look at the details, that is some of the internal information inside Rhino, like some identifier. But you see it's a valid surface. It has 4 boundary edges. These are the 4 open edges of the line, and some other information. Now we can also start from curves we already drawn. For instance, if you have a control point curve, let's shift our viewport a bit. We click a few times to find a certain curve. We click on close. Now it's an enclosed curve. What we can do is select the curve and turn the curve into a surface. Click on surface, planar curves, which means we create a surface from curves that define a plane. And in this case, let's not turn it around too much. And in this case, we see that these and these two are all 2 open surfaces. But something you have to remember, the way the NURBS curves are created, if we look at the details here, we see that it's a trimmed surface. And what does that mean? In fact, the actual surface is larger than what we see in the curve. Each NURBS surface mathematically is defined as a stretched rectangle, something like this. So we have 4 points, the 4 corners, have kind of a stretched rectangle, but it can be infinitely stretched. Inside this surface, we can define subcurves, and we can trim the surface using the curve, which means that only the part inside or outside of the curve is retained. And in this case, this closed curve has been filled in with a surface that is actually a bit bigger, but is trimmed, and that's why we see here in the properties that we talk about a trimmed surface. If we look at some of the other options, we see that we have a surface from planar curves. That's the same command we used, and there are a few others, but these require to create some curves first. And that's what we do in the next lessons.